Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, relationship issues, and limited beliefs. It's come a long way on this show. Today, we're going to get into breakup advice versus in relationship advice. So, one of the reasons I'm going into this, been doing this for over 5 years now, primarily focused on breakups in the beginning. Just had people write in their story, tell me about your breakup, I'll give you my take. Over the years, it's evolved a little deeper. A lot of clients that originally came to me for a breakup got into a new relationship, talking to me about how that's going. And now I'm getting some clients that are in relationships and actually want help with couples sessions. So that's something I'm doing now. Now, what's really interesting is to learn about relationship dynamics first and foremost from a breakup standpoint is highly useful because you see the patterns and the problems that happen over and over again in a lot of relationships. And you also get to see how hard it is once you've broken up to not just get back together because negotiations are off. And I'm going to talk about that. So when you're at a point in your relationship where you're frustrated, you don't want to give up, there's big problems, you're facing a breakup, this is a very good time to get couples counseling. And if I do couples sessions, I will talk to each of you individually first, just to get a rapport, get a feel of what's going on, and get your side of the story, not just in the relationship, but in your life. A lot of times what's going wrong in your relationship is directly related to your life as an individual. And sometimes you're just ignoring that and just blaming the person you're with for all kinds of things and not taking some accountability about things you need to fix in-house. Does that make sense? So that's something I'm going to get into today. And then we have two stories. I actually have one in the comment section of this video, and you can check out the story. It'll be the second story. So let's just start out with breakup advice. Number one, it's a painful time. There's denial and confusion a lot of times. And these aren't good things because you're not, the first 2 or 3 days after breaking up from 4 or 5 years, it doesn't really sink in because for the last 4 years, this has been your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, partner, right? So it doesn't really sink in. So you got denial, you got confusion, you want to go back, you miss them, you hate them. The list goes on. It's this murky water that you've never drunk before, okay? So it's a really painful time. And so when I'm in a position where I'm giving you breakup advice, I need to feel where you're at this time when I talk to you in a live session and kind of get an idea. Are you blaming? Are you angry? Are you sad? Do you feel done wrong? Okay. So these are the things that come up. And this is why it's really important post-breakup to write out your story and get everything out. So writing your story is actually therapeutic for you as much as it's useful for me in helping tailor some advice your way. It also makes it so you can't run away from the reality. Number two, there's no going back post-breakup. So some people break up and make up. Some people break up and make up and break up and so on. Those relationships, eventually someone's going to break up. And when it finally gets to that point, you just can't go back. And especially if you live together and they get all their stuff and leave, there's no going back. You could get back together in 4 or 5 months or something like that. But breakups have this finality, where it's like, oh shit, we did it. Okay. So number three, you need to sit in it. You said some things, they said some things, you agreed to break up, you fought it, whatever. You need to sit in it. It's going to be really uncomfortable. It's kind of like going to a new school, living in a new neighborhood. It's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. You don't know the obstacles. You don't know what's next. You don't know if they're going to call you. And sitting in that breakup's really tough. And that's why I always tell people, don't sit for too long in your room and look at the TV. Get out of the house, go for walks, go for runs, get dinner with a friend. Do not be sitting on it for too long. But what I mean by you need to sit in the breakup is that you need to give yourself time to adapt that, hey, I'm single right now and this really happened. Number four, stand by your words. So if you were breaking up for valid, good reasons, such as the individual stole from you, they cheated on you, they did something that they can't come back from, you need to stand by your words. Okay. So stand by your words, your values, and your morals, because if you go back on them, it's not attractive. It doesn't help you. Okay. So number 5, what are the problems fixable or unfixable? So that's what you have to reflect on post breakup. So what are the problems and were they fixable and unfixable? Now, what's really interesting now that I'm doing some couples work is that you'll find that if you talk to each individual, and when I do couples work, I don't sit there and pry and go, well, he said this or she said that. It's really nice to just talk to each individual, what's going on in their personal life, get a read on that, and what's their issues with their partner and what they think their issues are. Okay, so this is really interesting. Sometimes you got some big issues with your partner and they don't even see them as problems. So for example, if someone, one issue that comes up a lot in breakups and situations is friends or family. You can't stand their best friend. And their best friend's a bad influence. They do bad things when they're with that friend, and the list goes on, right? So when you're in that situation, right, you're in a situation where, hey, their friend has to go. I talk to the other individual separately. They don't even mention the friend as a problem. In fact, they say, hey, I love that I have such good, close friends, and I can always go to this friend, right? So if you identify something as a problem and they don't even see it as a 1% problem, that's a problem. You're not going to impose them to feel like that's an issue. For example, someone's gaining weight. They're getting fat, right? If someone's gaining weight, but they don't mind because I have a high metabolism or this, that, the other, it's not a problem for them, okay? So when you're in a situationship or you're in the middle of, hey, we might be on the verge of breaking up or we're having big problems there, do they see the problems you see as a problem? Do they want to fix those problems? And that's what you get to the bottom of. What are you accountable for on your end? What are you ignoring? So if you can get a read on this post breakup, I look back at my worst breakup. If we had couples counseling and we had something like this, and I had someone such as myself as who I am as a coach and hypnotherapist now, I don't know if it would have saved my relationship, but at least I could have got clear on the fact that I have some stuff on my end I'm ignoring that's affecting her attraction in the relationship. She has some stuff on her end that she doesn't see as a problem, or she knows is a problem, but she doesn't want to fix it yet. Alcohol is a big one for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, I know it's an issue. If you have an issue with alcohol, there's not a lot of options for, well, I'm just going to try to cut back, right? Do you see hope and goodness if these things can be worked out, right? And this is why if it's one clear big problem, that's actually a lot of clarity and it can be worked on. Number 5, number one important thing that's different about relationship advice compared to breakup advice, negotiations are still on. So I've seen this in many relationships where couples are on and off. They got a kid, so they're staying together. They're doing the best they can. They got financial issues. They don't talk for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. She goes out, doesn't tell him where she's going, but they stay together officially. They live together officially. So negotiations might have been stalled, but they're still on. Okay. Now, what happens when people do these ultimatums, they're tired of negotiating and they want someone to make a move. Because a lot of times some people negotiations are still on, the person's checked out, and they're just waiting for you to be the bad guy because they don't want to break up with you. Okay. All right. So we got into that. Rob and the fabulous Mary, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you. My little night owls. 111, Make-A-Wish, Petty Betty. So 2 stories on deck. I was going to try to show the stories in the thing so you could read along with me, but that didn't work too well. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think it. Nope, it's not going to let me. All right, so let's get into it. I got a serious situation with my ex-wife. We've been officially divorced now for over 2 years, but we just started seeing each other again. It wasn't planned, but being that we have 2 kids and are in regular contact weekly over them, it just happened one night after I dropped the kids off at their grandma's and she invited me over for dinner and wine. Mind you, it's the house we bought together and she took over the house payments on, and I still kind of feel pissed when I enter that house and know I'll never have my name on it again. All right, so just to throw a little in there, you're saying she still has to make payments on it, so it's not like you gave her a free house free and clear. That being said, you still got a little resentment. That's got to be addressed at some point if you guys are serious about getting back together. I also give her child support, which really eats into my checks. I make good money, so I can handle it, but it sucks. Okay, now that we've hooked up twice this week and it was good, real good, I can see us getting back together. She said she'd like to keep it a secret from the kids for now, and I've noticed she's been getting texts at night while we've been in bed together. I don't want to ask her, but she did have a boyfriend this last year, and I couldn't stand the guy. So we got bitterness about the way the divorce went down money-wise with the payments and the house payment. We got bitterness that the boyfriend she was with was not up to par for you. So you got a few things here that are, even though you've hooked up, you've had dinner and wine, and you're talking about maybe getting back together, you've got resentment and contempt built up here. So just keep that in mind. If you did have an issue with her, you already have ammunition lined up to go after her. So I don't know. I would tread lightly and take this thing real slow. So yeah, I mean, if the kids find out, don't lie to them. You don't want to lie to them. But if you guys get in your first argument about something and you feel like you throw the money thing in her face, the house thing in her face, her boyfriend's a snake thing in her face, then it's probably not going to work out. Sometimes there's too much wreckage on the road to repair. Revisiting this thing, being that you have kids, it's worth it. Taking it slow, good idea. Now we've hooked up twice and it was good, real good. I've noticed she's been texting at night while we've been in bed together. I don't want to ask her, but she did have a boyfriend this last year. He's a car salesman for a Mercedes dealership and appears to do well, but the guy just comes off as a snake. My son told me he wasn't very good at playing catch, often dropping the ball, and that he'd often tell my 10-year-old boy tips on how to be a good salesman, and even took him around in some expensive Mercedes that wasn't his, but the dealership let him borrow. I mean, it's never ideal for your kid to have a stepdad or a boyfriend in the picture. Those aren't horrible things that he took him on a ride in a nice car and maybe gave him some tips on business. I don't see anything there that's outlandish. I've certainly seen worse. So, okay. Anyways, they broke up because she said they weren't right for each other, but now I found out he cheated and she caught him in a hotel room. She was visually emotional telling the story. I'm wondering, am I a rebound here? I mean, we've been really good together, but am I making a mistake? We got a divorce after 10 years together, and our reasons were directly tied to money issues as she kept maxing out credit card bills, and I just couldn't keep up with it. All right, so you're very crystal clear. Money's an issue. That's why you're still bitter about the house. Since then, she's changed her spending habits, has had a sizable inheritance. Well, that'll help. So that problem isn't there. I'm keeping my options open with other women, and I actually am dating a woman for a month now, just once a week, as she has a busy schedule, and she has reiterated that she doesn't want to get serious and that she'd like to keep things casual and open for as long as possible, but she won't commit to an official relationship as her job comes first, and she doesn't believe in marriage. All right, sounds like she's directing how this relationship will go. And I kind of like that. I know that so you're dating a woman once a week with rules, with no growth in place. You enjoy that. I would say keep seeing her while you're seeing your ex-wife in the current condition, because you and your ex-wife aren't official. I'd also say, if that's something you like and she's being upfront, just keep in mind women like that are highly independent, standoffish, maybe career first. You might catch feelings at some point and want to become more official. So you're kind of putting yourself in a situation, but I don't think you need to kill that relationship yet. You've only hooked up with your ex recently and you guys are keeping it a secret. And there's some things here that suggest that you don't need to be official. I know that my ex-wife will elevate. So I know that my ex-wife will elevate things soon here, and that we've already talked about possibly moving in together. And again, I feel good about that for the kids, but part of me cringes inside when I think about this other guy she was dating, and they only broke up 3 weeks before we first hooked up. So that's kind of a red flag right there. So all I'm going to say is tread lightly, continue to see her, see where it leads. These issues you have with her ex 3 weeks ago is very new. You're going to have to be upfront and honest with her and ask questions. Don't make assumptions. Don't make accusations. There's a difference. Hey, are you still seeing this guy? Do you still have feelings for him? Is this the guy you're texting at night? I'm not telling you to bombard her with that, but don't keep those questions in. Pick a good time to talk about those things and lay it on the line when the time comes. 3 weeks ago, though, it is in a good situation. It sounds like if this didn't happen, she wouldn't have called you. I'm not sure what to make of that. I'd like to keep dating both my ex-wife and this woman. Then do. I think you can. But I know I'll have to make a decision soon. What's your take? Wait till that time comes. Book a live coaching session. We can go over it then, I would suggest. I'd also say that you're in a pretty good position here. And if you want to ask her some questions, like who is she texting, or I don't know, money questions, be direct. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't hold your tongue. But keep in mind this resentment that you have built up over the divorce and hating the ex-boyfriend, it's probably not going away. And it's probably not going to be good for your relationship. So if you find, because like I said, you haven't had a problem yet, but let's say you and her have a problem, something bubbles up, you already have some things you're upset about that you're going to bring up and nail her with. So I don't think you need to pack it in. Just take it slow with her and absolutely still date the other woman and keep your options open. And don't be afraid to have a good conversation with questions, not accusations. There's a difference. All right. Yes, be upfront and ask questions. Otherwise, he'll never know. Some people keep all those questions bottled. Absolutely, Rob. You could be a coach, my friend. All right, next one. This is actually in the comments. I put it in the, in the description. So if you want to read it, I don't know how that works out when you're watching this after the fact. I've got a situationship. This is a phrase that I've used quite a bit. That doesn't mean a breakup, doesn't mean you're going to leave. It's just a situation, right? I've been official with my girlfriend for 4 months. We were together for 1 month before she'd left for a study abroad trip. We both go to the same uni and share the same dorm. We were really close before. So when you say you share the same dorm, I'm just assuming not the same dorm room. We were really close before she left, and now 3 months later, I'm questioning things. I've hooked up with 3 other chicks, and I'm talking to others. I also believe she's been doing a lot of partying over there. Okay. Possibly. She claims that she hasn't cheated and gets all amped up even if I ask the question. So the fact that she doesn't want to answer those questions directly could lead you to believe that she's guilty of doing it. And also could be that she's disgusted that you'd even ask her that. Bottom line is you're 1 month into a relationship. She goes on a study abroad trip. You're both in your 20s, right? It's really hard because you think, oh, we'll do well. It's long distance. It's fine. Long distance is harder than you think. It counts where she is. If she's in a party area, well, then you're going to be more suspicious. If she's been drinking at a lot of places over there, then you're going to be suspicious. Cheating happens over environments where temptations are higher. Does that mean people can still say no? Absolutely. There's people that don't drink, that go to clubs. Okay. So people are capable of it, but they're working against the odds. You've already hooked up with 3 other women. Obviously, you want to be single. If you don't want to tell her that, it's fine. Your suspicions of her being jealous have to do with the fact that you're cheating. Why wouldn't she? You feel me? Now, in the meantime, I don't think I need to tell her what I've been doing, but I believe it's different for guys. Women expect us to cheat and they don't really want to know the truth. That's what my uncle taught me, and he's always been really good with women. He told me that you never let them know you cheated, but if you think they are cheating on you, then you'll have to let them go or they'll constantly be wondering. Your morals and values about cheating are up to you. The fact that you're going to follow your uncle's words 100%, the reality of that is you can follow that, but it will come back to bite you. So eventually there will be a time where you have a really good girlfriend and you think, oh yeah, the odds are against you that it doesn't get out. Like if you're a serial cheater, you've cheated 3 times, there's a good possibility she'll find out or she'll know, or you'll have such guilt, which not everyone carries, that you'll end up telling her. So it's just not a good practice to do regularly and lean on. If you do it as a mistake or something like that and you feel bad about it and you want to fix it, fine. It just seems like this relationship for you is not that serious. Okay. And that you're not ready to be in a serious relationship. And the standard is different. Women tend to care less about cheating, but not all women. And if you're in a committed relationship and they're committed to you, they will be upset more. So it's not necessarily a law or a rule. Men tend to get really upset because it's like, that's my girl. They take it more personal on the ego. That doesn't mean it doesn't affect women. Constantly be wondering. My girlfriend comes back in a month and we talk regularly, but I've lost feelings for her this last month and I'm suspicious at AF. I kind of just want to break up with her and move on, but then part of me knows I'll want to see her in a month when she gets back. What do you think? Well, your own morals and values will decide that. I think if you're going to press her about who she's been hooking up with or what she's been doing, then you got to ask yourself, are you going to come clean about what you did? Right? If you're going to keep the 3 that you've hooked up with a secret and then press her about cheating, that's just it's incongruent, right? So if you're like, hey, look, I don't want to wait. I don't like long distance. I don't like her in this environment. I don't like this situation. I want to break up. Fine. You'll actually be doing her a favor that she can find someone else that isn't cheating on her. Now, on the flip side, if you want to see her in a month and you want to keep this going, I would stop seeing other women for this next month. I would also say, seriously ask yourself when she gets back, like, how committed are you? It's fine to play the field. Having some girl that is serious in a relationship with you while you're doing that, it's going to come back on you. If it doesn't come back on you now, it'll come back on you later. She'll find out. You'll feel bad. And if she's a good girlfriend, it'll affect you for a while. So those are your options. I did have a message from a Miss or Verita's project. This was a comment. I need everyone's opinion here. I am in no contact for only 1 week, but I need her to put her cell phone bill on someone else's name, contact her or not. So people get caught up in this a lot of times. Like, I'm broken up and we have bills to pay. Be direct and honest and curt and short. Hey, I need you to put your cell phone bill in someone else's name or your name. That's all you text. That's it. Make it about the subject, about the money. Be short, quick, and to the point. I get that question a lot. Sometimes people have a business thing that, oh, I need money from this person. Okay. All right, let me check in with my air conditioning's broke in my room here, so it's hot as hell. If he has concerns about his cheating, maybe he should reconfigure the relationship so that it's an open relationship. Great suggestion, Rob. How did this guy make up those rules about telling who cheated or disclosing his cheating? Well, Rob, in my line of work, one thing I've realized is everyone builds a case through story. So you're going to, if you think your girlfriend's cheating, you're gonna have some kind of. Usually, people don't go, "Oh, I just have a feeling." They'll go, "No, I've seen her texting. I know that she was not going to work on Thursday because I followed." Like they'll have a built case, but they won't make a case for the other side. So they'll have some scattered evidence, and a lot of times people go, "Oh," and then I'll go, "If this was a case that you were taking to court, it'd be thrown out because the evidence that you're providing is extremely uncertain and unsure and improbable. Whereas when you get a text message or someone gets a naked pic or a video of them hooking up with someone else, it's done. You cracked the case. You got everything you needed, right? Like when you have direct primary source information, it's totally different. When you get in these situations where you're assuming, it actually wraps your brain harder because you're trying to build the case. And you got to ask yourself, what do I want to believe? Is a really good question. He's cool having an open relationship, but if she does, it's cheating. I think you're right. I mean, that would have to be discussion. It sounds like with this guy, that wouldn't be an option if they're already official. How you start a relationship is really important because that's going to be the pattern that you take throughout. Yeah. If he wants an open relationship, he needs to be open both ways. All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Petty Betty. I'm going to keep this one short today. Like I said, my air conditioning is broke in this room. When I say broke, it's working, but it's not pumping out cool air. And where I live, AC is vital this time of year. I never had an open relationship. Maybe you had an open relationship, you just didn't know it. Cheers. Take care. It's curtains.